Hello everyone, Stormy Strike here, and this is sort of, but not exactly, a BreyerFest 2023 experience video, except I didn't do any filming or vlogging at BreyerFest this year. I took some pictures on my phone, and then a few, very few, on my Nikon camera. I actually regret not using that more during this trip. I don't have, a lot of high-quality visual content to show this year. This is mostly a voiceover video talking about how my BreyerFest went, and then on screen I will put up whatever pictures I do have to show you. And I'm going to apologize in advance that the quality of these pictures is not great because, again, they're pretty much all from my phone, and my phone does not take the greatest pictures. I will also be talking a bit about some of the models I bought in this video, but if you want to see everything I bought at BreyerFest this year, and that will be filmed in high quality, then check out my BreyerFest 2023 haul video. So me and my dad flew to BreyerFest this year on Tuesday, which started out well, but then our connecting flight to Louisville got delayed by about 4 hours, which put us past the point that our rental car service we had already reserved a rental car through was closed until 8 a.m. the next morning. So that caused a huge hassle. Apparently there are ways to reserve rental cars through an app and be able to pick them up anytime, but we did not know that ahead of time. And by the way, one of the reasons our flight was delayed was because of a storm going on in Chicago. And because of that storm, our suitcases kind of got left out in the rain, and 3 of our 4 suitcases got really wet. Fortunately, there ended up being not too much damage, but that was another really stressful aspect of that whole trip trying to get here. That was definitely the worst part of our BreyerFest trip. Fortunately, once we got to the Clarion on Wednesday morning, things got better. We were able to rest for a while, and then we set up the room for sale. I did some room shopping, and then sold stuff that night. Thursday was fairly similar, except we went to the store in the morning to pick up some food to eat at the hotel room. I did more room shopping. I checked out the Resin Renaissance show, and entered the raffle, even though I didn't end up winning anything, but that's okay. I sold out of my room and also checked out the Artisans Gallery later on that night. I surprisingly did not go to the swap meet at all this year. I never really got around to it or was willing to wait in line for it when I was down there. I also believe that it was Thursday evening when I first went to check out the wonderful Vengeance Reign exhibition at one of the Clarion rooms put on by Fox Glory and crew. It was so cool to see some of the sets in person along with the amazing costumes on the models. It was such a treat, especially as someone who used to make model horse films and series back in the early days of Model Horse YouTube. It was really fun and exciting to see all those things in person. Friday morning, we went down to the horse park a little bit after it opened. I had the brass medallion workshop at 10 a.m., so I did that while my dad was picking up the special runs. As I was going to the workshop, everyone was freaking out and posting on social media about the surprise model and the special run variations, which was actually a little stressful for me because the cell service I was getting at the Kentucky Horse Park was not great, and it was kind of hard to load a lot of the posts and just catch up on the latest of everyone freaking out about BreyerFest stuff. But let's talk more about the workshop. That was instructed by Laura Rocksmith, who is known for doing the long-standing carousel workshops at BreyerFest, which are awesome, by the way. I definitely recommend those. I did the virtual one in 2021. We got to paint a pre-made resin medallion to make it look like a brass harness medallion, and then we got to have some fun trying our hand at sculpting our own medallion. I decided to be crazy me and challenge myself to sculpt a horse head instead of doing something simple. So considering I hadn't really sculpted a medallion before and the limited amount of time we had to do this, I think what I ended up with came out not too bad for a first try. Unfortunately, it did get kind of squished on our way home, so I am going to be trying to fix that up soon and then hopefully cure it and paint it. After the workshop, I met back up with my dad over by the front gates for BreyerFest, and I opened up all my special runs to see what I got. I had Nemea, who was a special run that had no variation, but he is still so beautiful. And I also got the normal version of Speos, not the decorator, which I couldn't really be disappointed by either because I love the normal version of him. I had two surprise models. The first one I opened was the Black Pinto, my favorite variation of all of them, so that was exciting. My second was the Buckskin Pinto, who I thought was very pretty, but I wasn't really feeling like keeping him for some reason. Instead, I decided that I just really wanted the donkey Peanutine or Peanutine, however you say it. So I was actually able to, later that night, trade that Buckskin surprise model for a Peanutine at the Clarion. Winding back to earlier in that day, I also went into the smaller BreyerFest store, which I'm really glad I did because I picked up some fun things that you will see in the haul video. Me and my dad did do a few things around the park, like look at all the vendors in the covered arena. We checked out the mounted police barn, and we got to see the animals at the petting zoo. It was pretty hot and humid that day, so it was hard for me to be able to feel like doing too much for very long, so we did end up going back to the hotel fairly early to rest. Afterwards, we did more room shopping. I really do enjoy room shopping. It is just so much fun. And again, we had the room open for sale that night too. Saturday morning, I had originally planned to wake up early and go to the Breyer store first thing to try and get a Tilly model, since she had completely sold out on Friday, and just to see if they put out any interesting warehouse finds that day. But I was so tired, and I knew if I didn't allow myself to get some extra hours of sleep, that I would be even more miserable that night when I would inevitably have to be packing. Regardless, I did not get a single night where I got enough sleep, really. When I was younger, I used to be fine getting like less than 7 or 8 hours of sleep at night. But these days, I actually don't usually feel that well rested if I don't get closer to like 9 hours of sleep. And at BreyerFest, when you are selling at the Clarion, it is hard to get much sleep because BreyerFest Clarion room shopping goes on so late, and then BreyerFest stuff starts early in the morning. I am hoping to rectify that a bit next year, which I will explain at the end of this video. So anyway, me and my dad stayed at the hotel that morning for a while, and it was perhaps a good thing we did because it was storming out, including lightning and thunder. We waited for the lightning part of it to pass and the rain to lighten up a bit before we did end up going to the horse park. It still ended up raining quite a bit at the park when we were there, but it was honestly really nice because it also made it not so hot. I will happily take some rain at BreyerFest if it means not being miserably hot. We basically went around and did whatever we wanted to do the most at the park since we wouldn't be able to be there on Sunday. We checked out the horses at those stables by the covered arena. We saw the live auction models at the Visitors Center and popped into the Visitors Center gift shop. We went through the hobby booth looking at the dioramas and saw a bit of Idicus Girl 96's demonstration on 3D printing. We also went to the Collectors Club tent and chilled out for a little bit in there. See some of those upcoming releases that they had on display there too. I went through the big Breyer store for the first time to pick up a Sulky plush and see if there happened to be anything fun in there, but by that point it was pretty cleared out of most things except for some of the limited edition stuff and some regular runs. I did end up also getting this year's carousel ornament from there though, which I was later then able to bring to Laura Rocksmith at the Artisans Gallery that night to get it signed by her as she sculpted it. Lastly, for the park, I went through the special run line to pick up another special run because I had partial traded for a Surrey and Axle ticket the night before. Then me and my dad went back to the hotel after that. I usually stay for the raffle, but wasn't really feeling up to staying that long for it. And I knew that after the raffle, getting back to our car would be a bit of a hassle because we had to park at the Alltech Arena and take a shuttle to get back. And after the raffle ends, usually everyone is all leaving the park at once, and it can be very busy. Apparently raffle tickets that day did end up selling out anyway. I don't know at which time, but I hadn't bought any, so by the time I went to buy a couple tickets, it's very possible it could have been sold out already. So me and my dad got lunch, and we rested at the hotel. And once again, we went back to room shopping, even though I thought by that point I might be about done with shopping and wouldn't buy anything else. However, I did end up finding some more really cool things, so I am glad I did end up doing more room shopping again that day. That night I sold out of my room for a little while, but then I went to drop off my raffle donation for the social media meet, and I popped into the Artisans Gallery for a bit, and wanted to show my dad the best customs contest entries because he hadn't seen them yet at that point. And I knew he would get a kick out of seeing Erica's fantastic life-size pony in person. As always, though, all the entries were just so amazing, and I wish I would have taken some better pictures of them because they really were just fantastic works of art. So then it was time for the social media meet, which was incredibly awesome. It was nice having it at the Clarion again instead of it being in the hot sun at the horse park. Lots of people were giving out bracelets or stickers, signing models and taking pictures. Fox's Brothers Band was playing. Someone handed out all these cute little light-up headbands, so a lot of people were wearing those. Then there was, of course, the raffle, which might need to be advertised a little bit better next year, as I did have someone say earlier in the week that they didn't realize there was going to be a raffle, and they would have brought stuff from home to donate to it if they had realized. I will also myself be planning to hopefully bring a lot more donations to it next year. We did a fantastic group picture together, and just all got to talk and hang out, and it was fantastic. Probably one of the biggest highlights of BreyerFest for me this year. After that, I went back to my room and had it open for sale for a while longer, and I also started packing because we had to leave Sunday morning. By that point, I was really tired, and it took me a very long time to pack. Packing to leave when flying is very stressful because you don't always know right away if everything's going to fit, and if you packed everything up safely enough. If you're driving, it's a lot easier. You don't have to wrap things up as well, and you can just kind of stick them in a box or stick them in bags or whatever, and just stick them in the car, but it's very stressful with flying. Fortunately, with my magic packing skills, I was able to fit all of my leftover sale models and all the new purchases into these suitcases and carry-ons home. I only got like 4 hours of sleep that night, and then we left the next morning to catch our flight back home, and that was rough. The getting to and leaving BreyerFest was very tough this year, but the actual being at BreyerFest part was wonderful. Was stressful at times and very tiring, but it was wonderful. I also want to point out another highlight, which was not at any specific time or day because it was happening all weekend, which was just getting to see so many friends and people I know, whether we'd run into each other at the park, at the Clarion in the hallways, or while they were room shopping at my room, or when I was room shopping at their rooms. I also got to meet a lot of people I hadn't met before or hadn't met in person, and that was also super exciting. I heard several people saying that this was their first time at BreyerFest, which I always enjoy hearing. I like seeing people able to go and experience the craziness that is BreyerFest for the first time. Overall, it was just so wonderful getting to be able to see and talk to so many wonderful people this year. And I always look forward to hopefully seeing everyone again next year. I suppose that about sums up how my BreyerFest 2023 went. But before I end this video, I also want to talk a little bit about the BreyerFest 2024 theme and my plans for BreyerFest 2024 so far. The BreyerFest 2024 theme is Against All Odds, which I think is a good theme because it has a lot of potential with what can be done with it. I will admit though that at first when it was announced, I was not super excited about it in the first few seconds because some friends and I were really hoping it would be some kind of beach party theme because it is also the 35th anniversary of BreyerFest, and apparently one of those things associated with a 35th anniversary is coral, so that would go perfectly with a beach theme. Alas, hopefully someday Breyer will have a beach or ocean or tropical kind of themed BreyerFest. But for now, the Against All Odds theme will be really interesting to see what Breyer does with it, and see what horse ends up being the celebration horse. They confirmed that the celebration horse will probably be revealed around November or so of this year, and then the special runs and limited editions and such will come out in January. This theme is so open-ended to being able to accommodate any breeds. So when it comes to things like the surprise model, it's going to be even harder to guess what it is because really they could pick anything pretty much breed-wise and such. I am already super excited for BreyerFest next year. which leads me into my own BreyerFest plans. I am planning on hopefully going again next year. I don't know 100% sure yet right now, because of course the money it takes to get to BreyerFest is not easy, and I also might have some personal life stuff going on around that time that BreyerFest happens, but I am hoping that I can go. If I do, I am deeply considering not selling at BreyerFest next year. Even though the past couple years I've done really well at selling at BreyerFest, it is also just a ton of stress and work, both leading up to BreyerFest and during BreyerFest, because I try to sell as much as possible, and it also means having my room open as long as possible. That means I'm more limited in what I can do at BreyerFest, and it also means I get less sleep for selling so late into the night and such. So that is a possible change for me next year. And I think by not selling, I will be able to relax a lot more and actually be able to enjoy BreyerFest more as a vacation instead of just a work trip. A big thing next year too is that I'd really like to have more time freed up to hang out with friends, especially the ones that I've known for a really long time now, and I only get to see them at BreyerFest. So I think I'm going to make that a priority next year. Whether or not I film a proper BreyerFest Experience vlog or not again in 2024 is completely up in the air. I think that is something I will decide shortly before BreyerFest, kind of just depending on how I feel about it. I do have some various little fun ideas and plans already for BreyerFest 2024, but I am not going to be revealing any of those until it actually gets closer to BreyerFest and I have more things set in stone. But overall, BreyerFest 2023 was awesome, despite the not-so-great parts of it, and I am just already so excited for BreyerFest 2024. I hope that you all had a good BreyerFest too, whether it was online or in person. I want you to let me know in the comments what your favorite part of BreyerFest this year was. My BreyerFest 2023 haul video will be coming out within the couple days after this video, so keep an eye out for that if it is not out already. Thank you for watching. I hope you all have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye everyone!